Hey, welcome to Life After Nursing School. I'm your host, Caroline Dana, aka Nurse Coach Caroline, and I'm here to help you, the new nurse, thrive in your career. As a former nurse recruiter, nurse manager, and now your personal new nurse career coach, I'm obsessed with making sure you don't just survive your first couple of years at the bedside. I want you to absolutely rock them. From the challenges to the triumphs, I'll be right here with you, giving you the real-world advice and support that you need to shine. Whether you're in nursing school getting ready for life after, or you're already out there in nurse life feeling overwhelmed or even questioning your confidence, I've got your back. I'll be sharing tips, tricks, resources, and strategies that are just for you. We'll dive into everything from landing that dream nursing job to slaying imposter syndrome, and most importantly, how to keep that spark alive and stay the vibrant and amazing nurse that you are. So if you're ready to tackle the things nursing school did not cover, like how to build a career, trust yourself, and keep your passion strong, then get comfortable because we are about to dive in and make nurse life the best life. Hey there, I'm so excited to chat with you today about one of my favorite career topics, and that's networking. It's fascinating to me how networking is widely recognized as a key tool in most professions, yet in nursing, it's often overlooked and definitely underutilized. Today, we're going to change that by exploring how networking can open doors, create opportunities, and elevate your nursing career. I think this goes back to the thought that since there's a nursing shortage, quote unquote, then there is no need to network. However, if you listen to episode 3 of this podcast, which is titled The Truth About Getting Your First Job as a New Grad Nurse, Why It's Not as Easy as You Think, then you know and understand that the job market for new nurses is actually very competitive, which is the exact reason why networking is so important. Networking is one of the most powerful and most overlooked tools in a nurse's job search. In this episode, I'll share practical tips, real stories, proven strategies to help you network effectively as a new nurse. We'll cover how to prepare for job fairs, make a lasting impression on a hospital and organization personnel, and master the art of following up. Also, head to the show notes to download your free job fair networking template resource. It'll help you get the most out of your networking experience and stay organized in the process when at a job fair. All right, so let's dive in. First and foremost, what does it even mean to network? Well, to put simply, it means to connect with people. To take it a step further, networking is the process of building and maintaining professional or personal relationships with others to exchange information, advice, and opportunities. It involves connecting with people in your field, industry, or community to create mutually beneficial relationships. There are a few key aspects of networking, and the first is building relationships. Networking is about forming meaningful connections rather than just simply adding someone to your contact list. The second aspect is sharing knowledge and opportunities, meaning networking helps people exchange career advice, job opportunities, and industry insights. Another key aspect of networking is to expand your circle. Meeting new people can open doors to opportunities you may not have found or had access to on your own. And the last aspect of networking is a good network provides encouragement, mentorship, and guidance. Before we jump into networking at events and while at clinical, I want to share an experience I had networking. As you progress in your nursing career, you'll naturally build a relationship and establish connections with others. What's amazing is that you never know when an opportunity might come your way simply because someone remembers you. Personally, many of my career opportunities have come from networking and maintaining a strong professional reputation. If you followed my career journey, which I've shared in the past episodes on this podcast, you might recall that while pursuing my master's degree in nursing leadership and management, I had the chance to shadow an incredible inpatient nurse leader during my clinical rotation. At the time, the hospital was struggling with a rising nurse vacancy rate, meaning open nursing positions were staying unfilled. Wanting to help, I volunteered to assist the hospital recruiter with job fairs to boost application numbers. I attended several job fairs, and to my surprise, I genuinely enjoyed them. If you've never been to one, there's an undeniable buzz of energy, and everyone is open, friendly, and eager to connect. It's one of the few professional settings where talking to strangers is not only encouraged, but expected. I spent time engaging with both nursing students and experienced nurses, and soon after, we saw a noticeable increase in applications. Then, at the end of my clinical rotation, the nurse leader that I had been shadowing presented me with a unique opportunity, and that was to become the hospital's nurse recruiter. It wasn't a role I had ever envisioned myself, but I took it, and the experience gave me invaluable insight into the hiring process and what organizations truly look for in candidates. When most people think of networking, they imagine reaching out to someone who can pass along their information in order to land a job. But networking is much more than that. It's about building meaningful relationships and positioning yourself for opportunities that you might not even see coming. In my case, I was strategic about who I chose to shadow for my clinical rotation. The nurse leader I worked with was widely known for her transformational leadership style, and there were even rumors that she was being groomed as the next hospital's chief nursing officer. I knew that spending time with her would not only allow me to learn from someone incredibly successful, but also deepen our professional connection. Looking back, simply asking her to be my preceptor was an act of networking, and it ended up shaping the course of my career. So, the moral of the story, or the message I am trying to convey, is do not underestimate the power of human connection and the momentum that connection can have on your career. Okay, so now let's pivot and let's chat about job fairs and how to get the most out of attending them. I've personally attended many job fairs and interacted with many potential hires. And to put simply, some connections were just more memorable than others. So let's review ways to be memorable and leave a lasting impression. Most job fairs provide a list of participating hospitals, clinics, and health organizations in advance. And here's where the magic happens. You need to do your homework ahead of time. If you want to stand out and network like a pro, take a little time to research the employers that you're interested in. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Caroline, but what exactly should I be looking up or researching? Well, great question. Here's what I recommend. You need to look up and research their mission statement and core values, which typically can be found on their hospital website, any new grad nurse job postings so you know what's available, and any major recognitions, especially ones like magnet status or top workplace awards, as that's great ways to spark conversation around nursing opportunities. Jot these details down either on your phone or a notepad or directly on the job fair networking template that I provided in the show notes as a resource for you. Once you have all that information ready to go, you will be ready when you walk up and approach the recruiter's booth to chat all things about that hospital. And trust me, when you casually drop a fact about their hospital being magnet status or mention how their mission resonates with you, recruiters will make note. And here's the kicker. Most job seekers don't do this. So by taking a few extra minutes to prepare, you're already ahead of the game. Another thing to do before attending a job fair is to have your resume ready to go. Cover letters aren't as pertinent during job fairs as resumes are. So be sure to polish up that resume and print out plenty of copies so that you can hand them to each employer booth without running out. In addition to researching employers and finishing up your resume, you should also plan on what you're going to wear and also what you're going to say. So let's chat attire first. Attire should be business casual unless for some reason scrubs are specified. I will say most of the job fairs that I've attended have been business casual dress code. A dressy shirt and dress pants with flats is a sufficient option. I also recommend a nice professional looking folder to hold copies of your resume and also a place for you to collect business cards and brochures from potential employers. Now, pivoting to what to say when you approach a booth and want to connect with the organization's recruiter. Think of it as developing a quick introduction or a mini elevator pitch. What to say can actually be very simple. And in my experience at most career fairs is that new grads approach a booth They maybe introduce their name, but they don't provide much more information than that. The recruiter is sort of left navigating the conversation and providing a slew of information. The interaction ends up being quite unmemorable, which is exactly what we do not want. By providing a bit more personal information about you, like your clinical experience, when you're graduating, and what you are looking for, will help to make the conversation more personal and supports two-way communication versus a mini info session. So I want to provide an example for you. All right, so here we go. Hello, my name is Caroline Dana, and I recently graduated from Salve Regina University. During my clinical rotations, I gained hands on experience in many hospital settings, including a capstone in the ICU. I'm particularly interested in opportunities in telemetry and the ICU work setting. I'm eager to start my nursing career in a supportive environment where I can continue learning and growing. I was excited to see that this hospital offers a nurse residency program. Can you tell me more about what you're looking for in candidates for this position? As I mentioned, the intro is quite simple, but it just sets the scene as to who I am, when I graduated, a little bit of my clinical experience, what I'm looking for, and then asks a question, a follow-up question to sort of get the conversation started. Okay, now that we've discussed how to best prepare for a networking event, let's pivot to the job fair itself. When you are at the event, be sure to engage and show interest when networking with recruiters or employer representatives. Ways to do this include smiling, maintaining eye contact, shaking hands, and showing enthusiasm when discussing potential future opportunities. I recommend taking notes, whether it be during the interaction or directly after. And this is crucial because when you go from booth to booth, meeting various people, it can get very confusing and overwhelming, and all the information can start to blend together. Notes may include job specific information, a recruiter's name, timeline for when an application will be posted, or any other application related tips or information. While connecting with individuals, don't forget to collect business cards and other contact information, especially of the person that you are speaking with directly. This will be crucial for following up. And while you are asking for a business card, offer your resume in return. Okay, while we're on the topic of interacting with employers and recruiters at job fairs, I want to add in some information around communication and forming a lasting relationship during a short interaction. As you know, I absolutely love to listen to podcasts simply because I just love to learn from experts while I multitask. Whether I'm driving to meet my clinical group at the hospital, or washing dishes, or folding laundry, or running around my neighborhood, I pick a podcast episode to listen to that's about a topic I'm interested in learning more about. One of my favorite parts of my business is the Nurse Entrepreneur Society, and this is an online community that I host solely for nurse entrepreneurs. Every month, we pick a business topic and learn about that topic. One of our first business topics was actually networking. During that month, I came across the Young and Profiting podcast with host Hala Taha and her episode 273 with Charles Duhigg. And the title of the podcast is Become a Superconnector: How to Build Lasting Relationships That Matter. I will link it in the show notes. But I want to share a few tips learned from that episode of Young and Profiting podcast that can and should be applied to networking interactions. First off, Charles Duhigg is the author of the book titled Supercommunicator: How to Unlock the Secret Language of Connection. Hala and Charles dive deep into communication and the practices of super communicators. And super communicators are individuals that are able to form lasting and deep relationships with people during a much shorter interaction than most other people. Charles explains that super communicators practice two major communication habits in order to make this happen. The first habit is that super communicators ask a lot of questions, and these questions are deep and personal. He explains that super communicators actually ask 10 to 20 times more questions than the average person. To apply this to a job fair or networking event as a new nurse, don't be afraid to ask the recruiter things like, what have you personally enjoyed about working for this institution? Or, in your experience, how does being an employee at this organization compare to working at others in the industry? Asking questions about the recruiter's personal experiences and opinions allows for a deeper and more memorable connection to be made. It also allows for you to gain information into real insights of a current employee of a potential employer. The second practice of super communicators is that they actually prove they are listening to the other person. And proving you are listening to another person demonstrates that you actually want to understand the person that is speaking and you also value what it is they're actually saying. This fosters trust and connection between two individuals. Charles and Hala go a step further to discuss what it looks like to show or prove you are listening to another person. And Charles explains super communicators do this by asking deeper follow up questions, repeating back in their own words what the other person just said, and asking if they are understanding it correctly. For example, if the recruiter says they enjoy working for an institution because the culture is warm and welcoming, and he goes on to say that he recently attended a hospital wide picnic for Employee Appreciation Day this past month, a super communicator's response may be something like, so you feel the environment is friendly, collaborative, and inclusive, and the organization goes out of their way to show appreciation to employees rather than simply saying thank you? Am I understanding this correctly? A super communicator might ask a deeper personal follow up question to the recruiter, like, are acts of service important to you as an individual? Or have you worked for an organization that didn't show appreciation for its employees in the past? I want to emphasize here that you don't necessarily need to be a super communicator to establish a connection with someone at a recruiting event. However, remember that you are talking to a person. Yes, that person may be passionate about the organization in which they work at, but asking people in general about themselves, their past experiences, and for their advice or opinions makes people feel seen and heard. And as you may have heard before, it's not necessarily what you say to someone that impacts them the most, but it's actually how you make them feel. Lastly, while you're at the job fair, I recommend being open to all opportunities and specialties. As I've mentioned in episode 3 of this podcast, the job market is very competitive for new grads. And at the end of the day, we need a job. We need to pay back our student debt. We need to start putting into practice all that we've learned in nursing school. And it is simply just better to have a job that might not be in your ideal specialty of choice than to go long periods of time without a job and waiting for the next cycle of new grad positions to be posted. Gaps in resumes can present their own set of challenges, and preferably, we don't want to have long gaps in between school and our first nursing employment experience. Okay, at this point, you've connected with multiple recruiters from different organizations. You've introduced yourself with a mini elevator pitch. You've handed them your polished resume, collected business cards, and contact information, and were able to have meaningful and insightful conversations with the people from these organizations. Now, it may be time to leave the event, but we all know networking doesn't stop when you leave an expo center or a career fair. So let's talk about how to continue to foster connections made after these events so that they can potentially lead you to job opportunities. Most importantly, if there is one thing you decide to do post a networking event, it should be this: send a meaningful follow up email to the person you connected with. This email should include a thank you message, a reference to your conversation, and expressing interest in next steps. Follow up emails are most impactful if sent within 24 to 48 hours. And the reason is because your interaction will still be fresh in that person's mind and therefore easier to recall. This email should also include your resume, even if you handed them a copy in person. Okay, here is an example of a simple yet impactful follow-up email. And just to note, the hospital and nursing expo name are all made up in this. Dear recruiter's name, I hope this email finds you well. It was a pleasure meeting you at the Nursing Job Expo event this past Saturday and learning more about General Hospital and its nurse residency program. Our conversation about the unique culture at General Hospital, specifically the special employee picnic and other acts of service provided by the organization, reinforced my excitement about the opportunity to join your team. I've applied to the nurse residency program per your direction, and I look forward to the possibility of contributing to your team. Please let me know if there are any next steps I should take. I have attached my resume for your reference. Thank you again for your time and insights. I look forward to staying in touch. Best regards, Caroline Dana, followed by phone number. I want to point out in my example that I refer to the hospital picnic for a few reasons. First, to show that this email is personalized and not just a generic follow up note that are commonly sent. I also included it in hopes to jog the memory of the interaction for the person that's receiving the email. So be sure to jot down any personalized or details that was discussed in the interaction with the recruiter so that you can use it as reference in your follow up email. Recruiters often speak to hundreds of people at these expo and job events. So it's important to try to leave a lasting impression, but also jog the memory of the recruiter via email in your follow up. Do not wait to send your follow up email. This is why it is important to collect business cards and contact information during the event. All right, next, it's important to apply to positions quickly. If a recruiter at the event encourages you to apply to an existing job posting, do so as soon as possible and then include that in your follow up email, like I did in the example. Plus, if the event has a good turnout of attendees, there will likely be others applying to the same position as you, and you don't want the position to be closed due to the high number of applications received before you even have a chance to apply. Next, consider taking the relationship a bit further and send a connection request to these individuals that you connected with on LinkedIn. Recruiters are also sometimes under the title of talent acquisition specialist or talent acquisition manager, and those in these roles hang out on LinkedIn. As most people know, LinkedIn is a place for professional networking. By sending a connection request directly on this platform, it helps them to connect a face with a name. Lastly, take some time to reflect on the experience. How did it go? Were you able to establish connections with recruiters at each booth of your desired potential future employer? Or did you struggle to do so? Did you forget to ask about any key information? Identifying areas of improvement will help you better prepare for the next networking opportunity that you may come across. I want to be clear that networking is not only done at career events or job fairs. When you network, you often lean on people that you know to gain insight or advance towards something that you want. I often find myself encouraging nursing students to start networking while in nursing school. With each clinical rotation, take the time to develop meaningful and personal connections with staff and, if possible, the manager of the unit. I encourage you to go out of your way to introduce yourself to the manager and ask if they employ new grads or plan to take on a few new grads around the time that you graduate. Depending on the timeline, after the introduction, consider sending the manager an email with your resume attached. It may also be smart to ask the manager if they have the email or contact of the hospital recruiter directly, because they will also be someone that you want to send your resume and an interest email to. If you are interested in working in an organization that you don't have a clinical rotation at, or maybe you've since graduated and clinical is long gone, you can still network. Get on social media and find Facebook friends or friends on other platforms that you follow that work at the place that you want to work and reach out to them directly. It may feel awkward to reach out to someone that maybe you went to high school with or one of your mom's friends, but if you keep it friendly and professional, it could lead to valuable information. For example, consider sending a message like this. Hi, Sarah. I hope you are well. From the pictures on your page, it looks like you've taken some awesome trips and have been enjoying some serious time outdoors. I think I may just have to take a walk outside today after viewing your page, so thank you for the outdoor inspiration. On a side note, the reason I'm reaching out is that I am graduating this spring and I'm really interested in working at General Hospital. It looks like from your page that you work there too. And I was just wondering, did you start there as a new grad? Do you enjoy working there? I would love to hear your opinion and any tips that you may have on getting a nursing job there. Hope you are well, Caroline. I want to just touch upon a few tips when messaging on social media. And these tips are make it personal, keep it short, and don't ask for anything like a contact person or to pass your resume along in the first message. Asking for a manager's email address or asking them to share your resume with a manager within the first point of contact may be off-putting for people when you haven't spoken or connected with them in a long time. Asking for a favor too soon can feel transactional. Instead, focus on starting a genuine conversation and allowing the relationship to develop naturally. If the person is responsive and open, they may offer to help you without you even having to ask. Okay, to wrap things up, let's quickly review the key networking takeaways from today's episode. First, networking is about building relationships, not just collecting contacts. And preparation is key. Research potential employers, have your resume ready, practice your elevator pitch before, and plan your attire. Next, we discussed that engagement matters. Ask meaningful questions, show genuine interest, and prove that you're listening. We also reviewed that follow up is crucial. Send a personalized follow up email within 24 to 48 hours to keep the conversation going. And lastly, networking goes beyond job fairs. Connect with people in clinical settings, on social media, and within your community to open doors to opportunities. If you're ready to take action, don't forget to grab your free job fair networking template in the show notes. It'll help you stay organized and maximize your networking success. Lastly, if you found value in today's episode, I'd love for you to take a moment to rate and review the show. It really helps me reach more nurses like you who are looking to grow in their careers. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, I have one hand for me and the other for you. Signing off. Well, that's it for today's episode of Life After Nursing School. I hope you feel more confident and ready to tackle the challenges that come with starting your nursing career. Remember, the first year or two might not be easy, but with the right mindset, you can overcome anything. If you found value in today's episode, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a future episode. Also, please consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. It helps so much in reaching other new nurses like you. Thanks for listening, and remember, you've got this. Take care and see you next time.